Well, welcome into another episode of Colorado Conversations here on our free FOX31 Plus app. I'm Talya Cunningham. We have a very special guest in studio joining us this afternoon. Adrian Miller, you are an award-winning author and culinary historian, as we like to say. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, good to be with you.
Absolutely. There's so much to talk about. First of all, we could be here all day talking about your background, but kind of for people that don't know, introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, Adrian Miller. I'm a Colorado native, so I was born in Denver. Moved to Aurora when I was a little kid, so I went to Smoky Hill High School. Then for college, went to Stanford University, and then undergrad, I went to Georgetown Law School. Came back to Denver, practiced law for about 4 years. Now, this is not to disparage anybody who's an attorney or you have attorneys in your family or social network. It just wasn't for me. Got to the point where I was singing spirituals in my office. And just to show you how rough law firm life is, when I would start singing, white people would join in.
Okay, so that brings us to here today. You're here for a very special reason. I mean, there's so many accolades, but also you went from politics to kind of a culinary cuisine. There was probably a big journey in between, and you've released 4 cookbooks now, correct?
Yes.
And one just came out.
Yeah, about a year ago.
About a year ago, okay.
Yeah.
But it's still making headlines, and you're up for a big award for that. We'll talk about in a moment, but just talk about your culinary journey.
Okay, well, so after practicing law, I pivoted to politics. So I actually worked in the White House under President Clinton. So I was at the very end of his second term. I worked on something called the President's Initiative for One America, which had the bold idea, get ready for this, if we just talked to one another and listened, we might realize that we have a lot more in common than what supposedly divides us.
It's also simple, isn't it?
Yep. So after that, I was interested in politics myself, was trying to get back to Denver to start my political career, but the job market was really slow. So I was in D.C. a lot longer than I expected, watching a lot of daytime television. I'm embarrassed to tell you the shows that I was watching. Jerry.
Oh yeah, Jenny Jones, Sally Jesse.
Yep, Ricky Lake.
Yep,
Montel.
I know.
So in the depth of my depravity, I said, you know, I should read something. So I went to a local bookstore. I'd always liked to cook, so I was in the cookbook section, and I found this book called Southern Food at Home and the Road in History, written by a guy named John Edgerton, and he wrote the sentence that changed my life. He wrote, "The tribute to Black achievement in American cooking has yet to be written." So the book was 14 years old when I picked it up, so I'm thinking, somebody's done it. So I just reached out to him, and he said, you know what, nobody's done it. There's always room for another voice. Why not yours? So that's what started the journey into culinary.
Okay, so did you go to culinary school?
No,
okay.
Did not.
Self-taught?
Self-taught. I got
Okay.
skills. I'm just not professionally trained.
And you're known on the streets and in your books as a soul food scholar.
Right. The soul food scholar who drops knowledge like hot biscuits.
I love that, and I love biscuits. So talk about your soul food journey. Did you grow up eating soul food? Was it a big part of who you are?
Yeah, so I usually lose all street cred when I tell people I'm born in Denver when it comes to soul food, but great migration story. My parents are from the South. My late mother, Johnetta Miller, is from Chattanooga, Tennessee. My dad is from Hyman Miller Sr. He's from Helena, Arkansas. Okay. So they separately came to Denver in the 1960s, met, and the rest is history. But my mom was one of those slamming cooks. She was one of the cooks that at a black church, people would seek out her food.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how it goes.
That.
You know,
yes,
like,
yes.
Don't eat that because so-and-so made
There's
that.
There's raisins in it.
Right, yeah. Or, you know, her house is nasty. But, no.
Yes. So what did you grow up eating?
So typically just your traditional soul food, Southern food. So we would have things like neck bones and rice and gravy. But my mom could make a lot of other things. So she would make calzones. Now we called them cannolis, not knowing any better, because you know. But she would make calzones. She would make great Mexican food. So it was all over the place. But some of the stuff I really loved was the fried chicken with greens. We would have chitlins. I don't know how you feel about that.
My dad eats those.
Okay.
I give them to him.
All right. For those who don't know, pig intestines, not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
But you know, I think about the memorable meals would be Thanksgiving. We have the turkey surrounded by all of these delicious soul food sides, mac and cheese, greens, black eyed peas. The thing we loved the most was the lemon icebox pie. I don't know if you've ever had that.
No, I've not.
Have you ever had a key lime pie?
Yes.
So imagine a key lime pie with a lemon custard, and instead of a graham cracker crust, you have crushed vanilla wafers glued together with melted butter.
That sounds wonderful.
Slamming.
See, we just had the pound cake. That sounds amazing.
Oh, well, you know, the standards.
Yeah, and you know, the food and cooking, it's a language. And it crosses all cultures, all barriers, all boundaries. And I think that's the beauty of culinary.
Right, because when you cook food for someone, you're saying that you care about their survival, you want them to stay around a while. You're actually saying, I love you.
Yeah.
Even if the food is straight nasty, the act of cooking is meaningful.
It's still the act. It's the thought that counts.
Right.
So talk about When you were working in the White House, did you always have that passion for cooking?
No, I didn't really.
Okay.
I mean, my deepest thinking about food back then was, oh, this tastes really good. So I could cook, but it wasn't something I did regularly because I was really broke. So, you know, sometimes that was a lot of fast food and things like that, and I would cook when I can. But now I have a deeper love for cooking, and my mom taught me how to make certain things. So, but after taking this journey about writing about the history of food, even though I centered on African American food, I've started to really get fascinated by the food of other cultures. And so now I think my palate has expanded enormously, and I'm just grubbing whenever I can on whatever I can. I'm the dude that gets the weirdest thing on the menu. When I go to a
So you'll try
restaurant.
anything.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've ever tried?
Cricket gumbo.
Okay. Did it taste like chicken?
No, it did not
No,
taste
he's
like
like,
chicken.
no, it was the legs.
Yeah. So actually, most of the world eats insects.
Yes.
We just have an attitude about it in the United States, and so
Good protein.
Protein. I'm thinking about the sustainable future because, you know, farming animals, that's not very sustainable.
Right.
So I said, you know what? Let me just give it a try. Now, the thing was that cricket was looking at me. That's the only thing that bothered
See,
it.
I feel that way about the fish with the eye and.
No, I'll eat some fish with the head on it.
The branzino?
Yeah, I'll eat fish with the head on it, and I'll
Okay.
eat the eyes.
Okay, so you have a wide palate, it appears, but also you have a really expertise when it comes to barbecue too. Talk about that.
Yeah, so that's probably my favorite food. If I could eat barbecue every day without any health consequences, I definitely would. I've inherited the grill in my family, so Memorial Day, I'll be making the barbecue. So typically, we'll do ribs, chicken, and hot links, which is
Okay.
a coarsely ground spicy sausage. I have not perfected brisket yet.
Okay.
That brisket's
That's
the it thing, but yeah, I love making barbecue ribs. Just love a good pork spare rib.
Are you a taster? Are you a pit master?
Let's just say I'm in between. I got
between.
skills.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a taster. I got skills. I need to keep honing my skills because I don't feel like I have the set process yet, but I'm getting there.
And one of your cookbooks is about barbecue specifically.
Right. It's called Black Smoke, African Americans, United States of Barbecue. I wrote that book because I wanted people to understand the significant contributions that Africans have and African Americans have made to barbecue. I think it's Native American in its foundation. There are people who disagree with me. They think barbecue comes from either Europe or West Africa or other places. They're all wrong, but you know, I just wanted you to know that. But I think it's Native American in foundation, started by indigenous people in Virginia, and then Africans and Europeans built on that to create something really special. So I wanted people to really understand that history, because if you look at the coverage and food storytelling around barbecue, you wouldn't even know that Black people barbecue.
Yeah. And it morphs every culture that you're in. I mean, the logistics of it are there. That's the focal point. But it leads us into our next year Asian-themed cookbook that just came out about a year ago.
Right.
So I love how you go around and you tell about different cultures through food. Talk about that journey for you.
Yeah, so one of the things that was important to me is when I first started writing on soul food, because that's the food of my tradition, I didn't want to explore that without putting Black food traditions in a larger context. So I started reading all of these cookbooks from other cultures. So that's when I started to not only learn about these other cultures, but I started to connect the dots. Because a lot of times you'll see that there's something similar in every culture. Like they might have their own spin on it, but there seems to be like this elemental cuisine. Like every culture has a dumpling of some sort and things like that. So then I started tasting the food from other cultures. I'm like, man, this is really good. So I just started eating more and more of it. So my latest book is on the history of Asian presidential chefs. And this is called Cooking to the President's Taste. And what I found out is it was an outgrowth of my book on the history of Black chefs, presidential chefs in the United States. Yeah. And so the way that I started this path is I went to the University of Denver that has a cookbook collection that numbers in the thousands. And they have this memoir cookbook by a guy named Lee Ping Kwan, who was the presidential yacht chef for Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, and Herbert Hoover. So he wrote a book in 1939, fell into obscurity, and I said, you know what, this needs a wider audience. And so that laid the foundation for my book. Because I talk about Chef Kwan and what he did, but I talk about all of these other people of Asian heritage who've cooked for our first families.
That's awesome. So where do you get your inspiration? Obviously, it started in soul food. So what makes you say, okay, this is going to be my next book. This is going to be my next book.
What I think is going to make the most money. No, I'm just
At least
kidding.
you're honest.
It's kind of, one thing led to another. Like starting with soul food, I was going to include a chapter on barbecue, But I found so much on soul food and so much on barbecue. I said barbecue needs to have its own treatment, so that became a book. While I was researching soul food, I came across a few people who had cooked for our presidents, and that led to my second book, The President's Kitchen Cabinet. And then the Cooking to the President's Taste was an outgrowth of my Black Chefs in the White House book. So it's kind of like they're all connected.
Yeah.
I do have some other things that I do want to work on coming. Would you like to hear about that?
I would. We're going to take a quick break. That's a good segment because we want to talk about what's next for you, and we want to talk about your big award you're up for that you've already won in the past, and now you're up for it again. We want to talk about all that, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back into Colorado Conversations. Our conversation does continue on our free FOX31 Plus app with Adrian Miller, still in the house with us. So we left on a great note. Let's talk about what's next for you, because you kind of teased it, and now we're going to like break some news right now. Tell us.
All right. So my next book will be on the history of Black street food vendors. So I want to show how they repped West Africa and the way they dressed, their marketing approaches, how they would sing out to customers to get their attention. And then also the foods they embraced from other cultures. They would sell things like popcorn, hot corn, tamales, things like that. But here's the really cool thing. Between 1880 to 1930, people would listen to African Americans singing and rhyming to get customers' attention. And people would listen to that, and a lot of times they put it down to sheet music.
Wow.
So I have songs from several cities. So the idea is to create a multimedia experience where you would go to a place, like let's just say New Orleans. I would hire somebody from New Orleans to sing the song, because you don't want to hear me sing. And then if I didn't have sheet music, I'd get a street, like a spoken word artist from there to do that. So it's be music, it'd be food, it's a lot of culture, and just fascinating people that had serious marketing skills and business skills, and I want to show their acumen and how they contributed to the culture.
That's incredible. I mean, it seems like you're a historian at the same time, collecting all this research, doing all this work. What does the timeline look like that for something? You say, this is my next project. How long does it take to dive in and learn this and travel and do all the things it takes to put out this production, this masterpiece, we call it?
That all depends on the budget that I get from the publisher.
Okay.
Really, yeah. But typically, it's about 1.5 to 2 years for me to do my work. One stroke of genius that I had is when I was working on my first book, I spent a long time grabbing everything I could about Black food traditions. So a lot of my work following that has built on that initial research. So I don't have to spend as much time looking for stuff as I used to. Because the first book took 10 years.
Wow.
So now I'm down to like 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so that's experience.
Right.
That's what we call it.
Yeah.
For people that maybe don't know your works and they're going to be watching this and say, wow, I like Adrian Miller, I want to pick up his stuff, what can they expect from one of your books?
So what they will find is a deep dive on a particular issue, but it'll be well researched, because I'm known for having endnotes and a long bibliography, because I do engage in storytelling, so I like to tell it from a very personal way. I want you to feel like you're sitting at a table like this, learning about this history, but then I show you how I reach my conclusions so that you can follow up and make sure that the thought process is sound. Because unfortunately, we're in a time with social media and other things that people just make stuff up, and that's not my vibe at all. So they're gonna find something informative, but also entertaining. And I make a lot of pop culture references and corny jokes. So,
well, that's always good to be entertained. That's what you want out of a book. You had such a different path when you started. Law school, that's no easy feat to complete. You did all that. What was it scary to change course like that? And what drives your passion now to do what you're doing?
It was definitely scary, because I had a path. I thought I was going to go to law school, I was going to practice law for 10 years, become a pillar of the community, and then leverage that to run for office, be in politics. My ambition at that time was to eventually be one of the U.S. senators representing Colorado. So to deviate from that path as somebody who was really conservative about that kind of stuff was very scary. Now I'm much more entrepreneurial about my creative endeavors. So I've become a different person, thankfully. Because of that, but man, it was scary.
I'm sure it was.
You just don't know if you're going to make money,
right.
How you're going to survive, all of those things. And plus, the other thing is, you put this thing out in the world like a book, are people going to be feeling it? All of those things.
Yeah. What do you think keeps you going now? Like, what is your passion for this?
Just to uncover the untold stories, or revive stories that were once told and forgotten, because I think it's so easy for people to forget the contributions that African Americans have made to American culture. and that we're a vibrant part of this society. Despite all the things going on, African Americans have been here for a long time and have made significant contributions. So much that we really don't even recognize them anymore because they're so ingrained in American culture. So I want to bring those things out with food. I think it's obvious in other things like music, sport, oratory, other things, but maybe people don't think about it with food.
Yeah, and so, I mean, food has been such a vital part of your upbringing and your life now. Is there one particular dish or meal that is like, this is my favorite?
It's got to be the New Year's Day meal.
Okay, the black eyed peas and stuff?
Right.
Okay.
Yep,
okay.
I do
Keep
that.
going. I'm going to let you say.
Yeah. So in African American culture as well as Southern culture, there's overlap. The thing is that you eat certain foods on the first day of the year, January 1st, and it has symbolic meaning that reverberates throughout the year. So you eat black eyed peas for either good luck or pennies, coins, depends on where you're from. You eat greens for folding money. Yeah. Pork is for good health. People don't think about that so much these days, but that's originally how it started. And usually you have your colors as well. So you got to have your candy jams that are orange. You got to have your yellow cornbread. And so all that stuff comes together. Now I will say, I've been practicing this prosperity meal for 40 years, or sorry, 50 plus years.
Okay.
And the prosperity results are very mixed. I don't know about you.
I'm not as consistent as you on that one. A lot of times I'm working, but you know what? I'll take your word for it. I think it's a mindset. It's what you make it, right?
Yeah.
It's what you make it. That resolution counts too.
Yeah.
So we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about all your accolades, okay? We'll be right back. And welcome back in. Our conversation does continue in our digital studio on our free FOX31 Plus app with Adrian Miller. You're a culinary historian. The list really goes on. A former politician, or you're getting your way there, a lawyer. But right now, we're here to talk about you and your accomplishments in the past and one that you're up for right now. You've got a big award that you're nominated for, the James Beard Award. Talk about what that is and then how you received that nomination.
Yeah, so the James Beard Awards are the highest honor you can get in food. There's two different broad categories. So there's a restaurant and chef category. That's what most people think about. But there are also media awards. So I've won 2 James Beard Awards for scholarship reference in history for my first book on soul food and my third book on barbecue, Black Smoke. This is a little bit different. This time I've been nominated for a journalism award for an article that I wrote about the Charleston Receipts, which is this iconic community cookbook from Charleston, South Carolina that was printed in 1950, has never been out of print. They're about to pass 1 million copies sold. The best-selling cookbook of all time, community cookbook. But I wrote about the Black contributions to that cookbook because there are references here and there, but the sheer magnitude of the Black contribution has never been acknowledged. And one of the metaphors for this is that there was a woman named Ada who basically was the test chef for all 400 recipes that went in, and nobody knows her last name. So part of this article is my journey to trying to find her last name, and I never did. But I at least named her and brought her to attention, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. The ceremony is on my birthday, so I might get an amazing birthday gift.
Okay, when's that?
June 13th.
June 13th. Okay,
Yes.
right around the corner.
Right around the corner. So I'll be in Chicago. That's where they host the awards. So,
Oh, that's awesome. So talk about the nomination. Does a panel nominate you? Does someone submit you? Do you submit yourself? How does that work?
Yeah, so you can submit yourself. Usually for magazine articles, the publisher of the magazine will pick articles that they submit, and so they submitted that one. They felt good about it. And then there's a panel of experts. It's all secret, who read not only my article, but several other articles and then vote on them. And then the 3 highest vote getters are the ones that are nominated. And then at the ceremonies, that's when we find out. So, I'll have an acceptance speech. I'll also practice my fake, oh, I'm so happy you won instead of me. Look, you see it? Yeah. Of course, I'm happy for them.
No, I think it's just an honor to be nominated, you know?
Absolutely. So even if I don't win, it's just an honor to be one of the top 3 considered for this year.
I mean, we've talked about in a nutshell just how you've pivoted in law school and then you ended up here. What does that mean to you to get this nomination?
So I don't know if you've ever heard this, but in a way, high school never ends. So I'm constantly seeking affirmation and validation. And so this is an example of that. No, but seriously, it's a great way to be honored by your peers. It feels good to see that people appreciate the work that you've done. Because you write these things, you want to educate people, inform them, you want to make people think about something. And so the fact that it resonated with others is just a huge honor. So I love that.
And what was it like to win your other ones?
Oh, it's
The other
fantastic.
two?
It was fantastic. So the first one, that was my very first book, so completely unexpected. And so it was just a huge thrill. And then the third book was a lot of fun because it was such an important topic, because at that time, barbecue was hugely popular. And like I said, black people were just not getting enough love. And so I think that that book helped. And it was so much fun to write that book.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, Colorado has shaped you. You're a native here. I know you've been all over the world and the country, but what does the Colorado community mean to you and getting these nominations, these awards, and your roots are somewhat stem here?
Yeah, so I just love representing my state. And again, people don't think soul food or barbecue when they think Colorado. So for me to make that connection and pursue excellence and be celebrated, I think is something that I can share with my community. So it's fun to be connected here. And I love Colorado. I chose to live here. I could have lived in other places, but this is home. I've got family, a lot of friends. And I love that Colorado people are just so nice. You know, you can walk down the street and say hi to anybody. I love that.
It's not like New York or something.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone's in a hurry.
Right.
So for people watching this, you've got 4 books out now. Where can we purchase these? Where can we find you online or in stores? Can you tell us that?
Yeah, if you go to Soul Food Scholar online in any platform, you'll get connected to me. So soulfoodscholar.com is my website. I sell my books through my website. If you purchase a book, I will autograph it and send it to you. I am so grateful that you have my book that I will sign it any way you want. So if you want me to put down, I couldn't have written the book without you, I will do that.
Okay, that might be worth some money too. I'm going to give you the final thoughts. Is there anything that you would like to say about your journey or to our community, or just about the process that goes through? I know we sit here and laugh and joke, but I'm sure that at some point, you know, in every creative profession, there's a writer's block, there's challenges, but you've pushed through all of those.
Yeah, I think the message I want to leave with people is right now the times are calling for us to come together, and everybody has a talent. They may not realize it, but they have something they're good at, and I'm just calling on people to use those talents to figure out a way to bring us together. I think food is a powerful way to bring us together. We don't have many spaces left where people from different walks of life can come into a space, but the table is one of them. So I hope that people will take the time to set a table, sit down, talk, listen, and try to get to know each other better. Maybe don't talk with your mouth full.
Oh, no. That's rule number 1.
Yeah, but we need people to take the time to come together and realize that we're all in this together, and through food, through music, sports, whatever it is you love, we can come together and build a shared future.
Very well said. Well, Adrian, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your love of food and your books with us. And I know they'll be flying off the shelves. They already are. So again, you can head to his website if you want to pick up your own copy. And we thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Colorado Conversations here on our free Fox 31 Plus app. I'm Talya Cunningham. We will see you next time.